This video is going to have a look at how do we calculate simple interest. So before we have a look at the calculation, with simple interest, what is really important to understand that simple interest is interest that's calculated on the starting principal only. So how much money you're starting with when you make the investment or take out the loan. The principal amount you use in the calculation will never change. So it's always going to be that starting amount. So for example, if I'm investing $2,000 and I'm earning simple interest, my principal amount is always going to be $2,000. It is never going to change. So to calculate our simple interest, we can use the simple interest formula, and it is I equals PIN. So I is going to be the amount of interest that we are earning or that we are having to pay. P is going to be your principal. Now your principal is going to be your starting balance. I is going to be the interest rate that you are earning on your investment. So the interest rate always needs to be written as a decimal when we are doing this calculation. So most of the time you'll be given your interest as a percentage, and to be able to convert that to a decimal, you take your percentage and divide it by 2. And then the end value at the end is going to be the number of years. So sometimes the question might have months in it, and if it's got months in it, you take the number of months divided by 12 to get the amount of years. So our formula that we use, and the formula that you will see in senior years, is I equals PIN. So the amount of interest is equal to the principal times the interest rate times the number of years. Now, one thing I like to do when I'm working out simple interest is draw a little triangle and divide the triangle so we can put I up the top. So the amount of interest is equal to PIN goes down the bottom. So that's going to help us later on when we come to rearrange the formula and want to calculate the principal or the interest rate. That triangle is going to be good to remember. So let's have a look at a couple of examples of how we can be calculating simple interest. So Nancy invests $2,500 for 3 years in an account earning 4.2% simple interest. Determine the interest that Nancy is going to earn over 5 years, and then calculate the total amount of Nancy's investment at the end of 5 years. So having a look at part A and calculating the interest, what I like to do when I'm doing simple interest calculations is start out by writing out my formula vertically. So I, and then P, I, and N, and then fill in the information that I have and don't have. So I don't have my interest amount, but my principal, my starting balance is $2,500. My interest rate is 4.2%, but remembering I need that as a decimal, so I'm going to convert that into 0.042 by dividing 4.2 over 100, and then my time period is going to be 5. So once I have that information, I can go ahead and start my calculation. And always in maths, I start off with the formula. So I equals PIN. Then I go and substitute in. So 2,500 times by 0.042 times by 5. Putting it into my calculator, and it becomes $525. So over the 5 years, Nancy is going to be earning $525. So looking at part B, it wants us to calculate Nancy's total investment amount. So to calculate Nancy's total investment amount, what I need to do is I need to add in the starting amount, so the principal plus the interest. So 2,500 plus the $525 interest, and that is going to be $3,025. So at the end of the 5 years, Nancy is going to have $3,025 in that account. That includes the $2,500 starting and the $525 interest. So as we saw in our calculation, Nancy's earned $525 interest over the 4 years, but if I want to know the interest per year, I can do that calculation based on what I know. So $525, and it was done over 5 years. So that's going to equal to $105 per year. So because simple interest, we know that they're earning the same amount each year because the principal is not changing and the interest rate isn't changing. So I can see here that Nancy is going to be earning $105 per year for year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and year 5, totaling up $525 in total. So let's have a look at our second example. So in the second example, Daniel is investing $4,600 into an interest account earning 2.9% simple interest per annum for 8 months. Determine the amount of interest that Daniel's going to earn over those 8 months. So to do that calculation, I'm going to start off by what my terms are going to be. So I, P, I, and N. So my interest, I don't know. That's what I want to calculate. My principal, my starting amount is $4,600. My interest rate is going to be 2.9%. I want to divide that by 100. So 0.029. And then my number of years, it's 8 months. So I want to go 8 over 12. And I'm going to leave it as 8 over 12. I'm not going to put it into a decimal. I'm not going to simplify it. I'm just going to leave it as 8 over 12. So now that I've got that declared, I can go ahead and write my formula. So I equals PIN. Substitute in 4,600 times by 0.029 and then times by 8 over 12. So that's a calculation that you can put into your calculator, and that's going to equal to $88.93. So over the 8 months, we can see that Daniel is going to earn $88.93. Now, if I wanted to check to make sure that that answer makes sense, because 8 months is less than a year, I would expect the interest to be less than what he would earn in a year. So I could do a quick calculation. 1 year of interest on Daniel's investment would be 4,600 times by 0.029 times by 1, which would equal 133.4, so $133.40. So I can see that my $88 is less than $133. So I can just do that check in my head. Yes, that makes sense. So Daniel over the 8 months is going to earn $88.93. Just remembering this check isn't required as part of the question. It just gives you that little bit more peace of mind that your answer is an answer that actually is reasonable and makes sense. So that's an example of how we can do our simple interest calculation.